us now? If we run out of water, what will we do? What the F? Does the Illuminati actually exist? What's the FAQ?
Tonight, we find out...
Does Centrelink deliberately choose bad hold music to make people hang up?
What does the power symbol mean?
Why can birds sit on power lines safely, but humans cannot?
Do houseplants really purify the air?
But first...
What is a mirage? Asks Robin. I thought it was a hallucination. You know how it goes. You're in the desert and you're so hot and thirsty that you stare off into the distance and fantasize about the thing you desire most in the entire world, usually involving a palm tree. And before you know it, you're trying to drink sand. Now that's cartoons, but in reality, mirages aren't fantasies. They can actually be photographed. You might have seen a wet-looking patch on the road while driving on a hot day. That's a goddamn mirage. Sometimes mirages can even look like a ship floating impossibly in the sky. If you were a 17th century sea captain, you'd absolutely shit your pantaloons. So if it's not a hallucination, what is a mirage? I needed to see one. So I purposefully dehydrated myself and wandered the desert for what seemed like days. But what my producer tells me was roughly 30 minutes. What is a mirage?
A mirage is a phenomenon of atmospheric optics. It occurs when a dense layer of cold air sits either above or below a layer of warmer air. As the light travels through the air layers, it bends towards the denser, cooler layer, and this affects our perception. When the layer of hot air is below the layer of cool air, say just over a hot road, it creates the appearance of a reflection. The supposed water on the road is actually a picture of the sky that's been bent towards your eyes. And when the layer of hot air is just above the layer of cool air, say over an ocean, it creates the appearance of what's on the horizon being higher than it actually is, hence the floating ship.
Is that what you are? Are you a mirage?
No, I'm a low-budget television graphic.
Oh. Well, thanks for your help, floating man in the sky. And thank you, Robin, for your question. Now, how the hell do I get home?
What's the FAQ?
Does Centrelink deliberately choose bad hold music to make people hang up? It's an interesting theory because Australians lose a collective 800 years on hold to Centrelink every single year. That is an awfully long time to spend listening to this.
Oh, God.
I really wasn't expecting this reaction to Centrelink hold music.
I'm just thinking what sort of things I could be doing. How much?
25 minutes so far. Most people are on hold for 2 hours. Maybe actual Centrelink users are too close to this topic, and we should consult an expert who can give us a more dispassionate evaluation of Centrelink hold music. Zan Rowe is Double J's national music correspondent.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Hang on. Zan pointed out that phone lines distort higher and lower frequencies, and maybe the music wouldn't sound so bad if we heard it in its original full-quality form. So we played some for her.
Yeah, that's still fucked.
Okay, so maybe the music isn't perfect, but sociologist Andrew Whelan has a theory.
It's possible to think about this system in a certain kind of way that exhibits features of deterrence by design.
Okay, let me just stop you there. Just pretend I'm an idiot who didn't understand anything you just said, because I am.
So the system could be produced in such a way as to wear out the client so that they choose not to engage with it.
So there's only so long you can say, oh, our system sucks, before people say, well, why haven't you fixed it yet?
That's right. So, for example, call wait times at Centrelink have been on a continuous increase since 2006. And the fact that it's just not a priority to resolve it or do anything about it is telling you something about the design of the system and the interests of the people who run and maintain it.
When Andrew says the system might be designed to discourage calls, that reminds me that Centrelink has explicitly admitted to the Senate that they count abandoned calls as successful calls. And in fact, during the first 7 months of the last financial year, Centrelink received 25 million calls, but only 8 million of them were actually answered by a human being, for an overall rate of 33% of calls answered.
So what does Centrelink have to say about all this? To simulate what it's like to be trapped in a bureaucratic quagmire, I will ask them, but while being slowly smothered by warm custard.
Welcome to Services Australia. You have called the Centrelink Employment Services line. We are experiencing high demand for our service officers. Your expected wait time is more than 40 minutes.
Hey, we're getting time pasta pouring! What are you doing? Come on!
Good morning, Tracy speaking. Who am I speaking with, please?
Does Centrelink deliberately make their hold music annoying so people hang up?
Can I have your name, please?
Yeah, my name's Chaz.
Jazz?
Yeah.
I can't hear anything.
Hang on. Does Centrelink deliberately choose their hold music so it's annoying so people will hang up?
No, it does sound like Disney music. I must admit, it's there is no reason why that particular music is chosen.
Okay.
That was the reason why you called today?
Yes. So thank you so much. Ariane thanks you.
Sorry, who's Ariane? Your partner?
No, she's the one who asked me that question.
Right.
That was interesting as well, because what she said was completely consistent with what Centrelink told me when I wrote to them. They said they rolled out new hold music in 2018 and 80 to 90% of their customers approved of the change. Now, that doesn't say much for their previous music, but what it does suggest is that Centrelink aren't deliberately driving people away, and also that some people actually like their music. People like Andrew Cotty.
My name's Andrew Cotty, and I wrote some of the music that's being used as hold music for Centrelink.
I can't.
So do you think Centrelink deliberately choose bad hold music to make people hang up?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. I doubt they put that much thought into it. That would be my guess.
So what would you say to Centrelink users who are listening to your music somewhere between their second and third hour on hold?
To anyone who's getting frustrated listening to this track that I wrote, I would like to tell you how much love and diligence and effort went into its creation.
This interview is important to me, but if I could just get you to hang on for a second, that'd be great. Sorry, back soon. So if the hold music isn't that bad, why do people think it is?
What's particularly relevant is the experience of the wait and the context of the wait. It's running down your phone credit. It's happening when you're looking at budget constraints which are coming over the horizon at you and you need to address them. And you know that Centrelink have decided not to put resources into, for example, answering the phone or having a callback system, but instead have assumed that they can impose on your time as the caller.
So the music itself might have nothing to do with the annoyance?
That's right, and one of the ways that you kind of know that is if you think about other experiences people have. For example, medical waiting rooms, you often hear the same kind of music, but it doesn't have that kind of agonizing implication that it has in the call to Centrelink, partly because of the duration, but partly because of the consequential nature of that wait.
In other words, it's not music that annoys people, it's people that annoy people.
That's right.
So it seems like the music isn't actually the problem. I mean, all the background music in this piece so far has been genuine Centrelink hold music, but can we prove the music isn't the problem? Coming up.
If dolphins are mammals, where are their boobies? Righto, Claire, you perv. But you'll be happy to know that dolphins do have mammary glands. They're inside these slits near the genitals. So basically, baby dolphins stick their snouts in there, but instead of sucking from the nipple, the mother squirts them with milk. So how does that milk not just disappear into the seawater? Well, it turns out baby dolphins have these little nodules on the sides of their tongues. So when they drink, they curl their tongue up into like a straw shape, and the nodules sort of zip together to form a seal. The ultimate non-spill device.
What's the FAQ?
Do houseplants really purify the air? Asked Giselle from Launceston. That's a nice question, isn't it? Because we all love our plant babies. Unlike human babies, they don't shit themselves, they always look good in photos, and you won't go to jail if you neglect them. Yeah, that's dead. Plus, we've all heard about
Air purifying plants.
from every listicle ever. But where did that idea come from?
A clean air study by NASA.
Yes, in 1989, NASA set their sights a little lower than missions to Mars or the Moon and focused instead on studying pot plants. Looking for a way to clean the air on space stations, NASA found that plants can play a major role in removal of organic chemicals from indoor air. And in particular, they were referring to pollutants like benzene, trichloroethylene, and formaldehyde. Now, these are all types of VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, and they can cause everything from irritation to nausea and even cancer. And ever since then, it's been widely reported that a humble houseplant sitting on your desk or coffee table has air cleaning superpowers. But maybe there's a reason Marvel never bothered to make a superhero movie about Plant Man. In 2019, a review of NASA's study made quite a splash. It noted that NASA's study was conducted in a small sealed chamber in a lab. But unless you're an astronaut, you don't work in a small sealed chamber. The review found in a real office, it would take a huge number of plants to do a better job of cleaning the air than standard ventilation or just opening a couple of windows. In a space like this room, they said it would take about 100 of the right plants. And if you use the wrong plants, it could take thousands. Why did you lie to me?
Alex, they're not lying to you.
Phew. Wait, which one of you said that?
I'm Fraser. I reviewed that study and the calculations are accurate, but it doesn't tell you the full story.
So what's the truth then?
Well, Alex, the way potted plants remove VOCs, well, the plant doesn't actually play the major role. It's the bacteria in the potting mix. They use the VOCs that can give us cancer as food sources.
Stolen valor. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
The 2019 paper didn't say plants didn't work. They just said that their effects are smaller than building ventilation like air conditioning or opening a window. I mean, the plants do work. You should try it yourself.
Challenge accepted, Fraser. Time for me to do a science. How did you get in here?
This office we're in is a typical 10 square metre office, and this is a typical air quality monitor. We asked a bunch of teenage boys to stink up the room for us, and while there are VOCs in BO, they're also in all of this stuff. And there's heaps in air freshener.
All right, so we've turned the air conditioning off and we're going to let the room settle. Then we're going to measure the difference in VOCs in a room without plants compared to a room with plants.
In a room with no plants, the VOCs were reduced by about 14% per hour. But in a room with 5 plants, VOCs were reduced by about 38% per hour, almost 3 times the rate.
So we went off and we tested it and we found that even in a room with only 5 plants, there was a big reduction in VOCs.
That's what we've been trying to tell people for 20 years, Alex. You don't need a jungle to make a difference. In fact, plants don't just remove volatile organics. They've got heaps of different benefits. Every pollutant we've ever measured, they can remove. They can make you a happier person. They can improve your psychological health.
I don't know if these plants are improving my psychological health. But do you admit that air conditioning does do a better job of removing VOCs than these plants?
Of course it does a better job. The way air conditioning works is that it removes all of the air in the room 1 to 2.5 times an hour. Most people don't know that 40% of all the energy we use in the built environment goes to cleaning our air and keeping the temperature stable. We can't keep doing this. Reducing energy demand is going to be so important for reaching net zero going forward.
Okay, but surely air conditioning is more practical than having all of these plants.
Yes, it is a little awkward, isn't it? But what if we stuck all these plants on a wall?
Oh. Wow, you really put a whole bunch of plants on a wall?
Absolutely. 60 square metre green wall.
So why is this setup so much better than just your average pot plant?
One of the big challenges with pot plants in a big room is that it takes a long time for the pollutants to actually move through the air and get to the potting mix where the action gets done. So here what we've done is we've got 6 fans down the bottom of the wall. What they do is pull in pollutants from ground level, where pollutants accumulate, up through the back of the system, out through the potting mix, through the plants and back to the room. By doing that, we improve the rate of pollution removal by 10, 20-fold. It's really effective.
And what about the people at home who don't have one of these huge walls?
In a small space, pot plants work amazingly well. So as long as you buy nice, healthy plants, keep them well watered and most importantly, give them enough light, they'll do a fantastic job in a smaller space.
So there you have it, Giselle. It looks like plants do have those air purifying abilities after all, but in order to maximise those abilities, we should be smart about how we use them and maybe help them help us. Truce? Truce. All right.
Why can birds sit on power lines safely, but humans cannot? The eternal debate about whether birds are better than humans. They are. For centuries, man has looked up to the heavens, eyeing the birds with envy. Stunningly beautiful, yet so supple. These wellness influences of the sky steal our hearts and minds and hot chips. When man first desired to fly, he copied the bird. And when he wanted to feed his young, he copied the bird. But now humans can fly, feed our young, and send tweets, just like any racist bird. But there's one last thing that these feathered gods have over us. A single opening for poo and genitalia. Oh, and also the fact that they can sit on power lines completely unharmed, staring down at us from their majestic throne of majesty. So why are these Avarian overlords able to perch safely without being electrocuted? Like Terry, who asked the question, I don't know. Unlike Terry, I have a man in high vis who does. So Riley, all of these power lines, they're insulated, aren't they?
Some are, but there's many that aren't, and they are definitely not safe to touch.
Okay then, have birds somehow evolved some sort of protective skin around their slender yet firm, perky feet that grip onto the wire tenaciously, like I'm not watching? Riley wasn't qualified to answer that, but he did say the bird's imperviousness had more to do with how electricity behaves.
Electricity always flows through a complete circuit, whether that's wire to wire or a wire to the earth. When a bird's sitting on just one wire, it's not touching another wire or the earth, so essentially it's not forming a circuit. There's no shortcut through the bird. That's why the birds don't receive an electric shock. So the current flows through the power line and it actually bypasses the bird.
Without frying those delicate yet powerful legs.
Sure. So if the bird is touching the ground at the same time as it's touching the wire, it essentially forms a circuit to the ground, and that's where the bird would be electrocuted. The same risk involves from someone on the ground touching the wire, they too would be electrocuted. If a bird was to touch 2 wires at the same time, it would also be electrocuted. That's why we space power lines apart at the top of a power pole, for the bird's sake.
So, theoretically, humans can sit on a power line if we're not touching the ground?
Yes, but power lines are still extremely dangerous. We touch them because we're specially trained, we have special equipment.
So what you're saying is we can be the bird?
No, Lawrence, you have to stay at least 3 metres away from the power lines.
For centuries, man has looked up to the birds on power lines with envy and lust. But finally, man has evolved an understanding of basic electrical theory and advanced cosplay. Man can touch the skies and finally touch a power line, as nature intended, in a non-conductive cherry picker crane.
I'll clip you in.
And fully insulated bird suit.
Riley, to the heavens!
I'm flying!
Oh, I'm so I think I just wet my cloaca. Okay, just a little closer.
No, you're not a trained professional. I have to keep you in the ordinary person safety zone.
Well, I'm not an ordinary person because I'm a bird.
Mate, you're not a bird. You're a man in a bird suit. I can see your beard.
I'm a bird.
This was not the only power company I approached for this story. In fact, I approached virtually every power company in Australia, and amazingly, not one of them thought this was a good idea. So, if we're not allowed to use their power lines, we'll have to take it into our own hands and build our own power line.
Lawrence! It's over here.
We couldn't make it bigger?
Well, if someone hadn't insisted on endangered condor feathers for someone's bird costume, then maybe someone could afford a larger power line. It's a real power line, though. It's,
Buzzing with a lethal payload of 132,000 volts.
12 volts.
12 volts. This is potentially fatal science.
I guess. Maybe I've had a heart problem or something. So I'm insulated from the ground right now, so I could touch one wire and be fine. But if I were to touch both wires, then that light would turn on.
Oh my God, the stakes could not be higher. Wish me luck. I'm alive! I'm like a bird!
You're a bird.
I am a bird! I'm a bird!
That's good.
I'm a bird!
How long do I have to stay here?
Oh! I'm dead!
Oh, you're on the ground.
Call a vet, call a vet.
Sound more like a crow than a parrot.
The reason why us birds can touch a power line without being electrocuted is because we're not touching the other wires or any object that's uninsulated in contact with the earth. Excuse me.
What does the power symbol mean? Blaine, I was today years old when I found out that the power symbol is an illustration of the binary code for 1 and 0, which means on and off. Another fun fact is that the Bluetooth symbol is named after the 10th century Danish king Harald Bluetooth. The logo is a combination of the Icelandic runes of his initials. Just like King Bluetooth united Denmark, Bluetooth technology is designed to unite devices. So symbols do have secret meanings. Graphic design is not a fake career. And the power symbol is more than just a stick figure drawing of a finger pressing a button. Genius.
We previously asked if we could prove that Centrelink hold music is not the problem. Well, if it's just the negative context that makes the music unpleasant, then theoretically, we should be able to play Centrelink hold music in a more positive environment, and then people might actually like it. Let's find out. Dance, dance, dance! Well, they're still dancing, so that proves the hold music isn't the problem. But on the other hand, this is a terrible experiment because it was conducted in a pub that serves hard liquor. So let's try the opposite. We've got Carol here, our Centrelink user from before, who, if I recall, hates Centrelink hold music. So we're going to get Carol to call Centrelink and get the entire on-hold experience. Except this time, whenever Centrelink plays any music at all, Marty here is going to intercept it and replace it with Carol's favourite song, which she told us before was?
Kiss from a Rose.
By Seal. Mwah, wonderful, except for that would cost about 10 grand to play on air. So what we're going to do instead is you, Carol, will hear Kiss from a Rose by Seal. But the people at home will instead be hearing Kiss from a Rose by me. See you after the call.
Your expected wait time is more than 40 minutes. Please hold for the next available service officer.
Ba 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 la la ba 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 ba. There used to be a great tower alone on the sea. You became the light on the dark side of me. Love remained a drug that's the high and not the pill. But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become enlarged and the light that you shine can't be seen? Oh, baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave.
Are you concerned about your or your family's safety?
Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the night on the dark side of me. But did you know that when it snows,
This is enough, isn't it? Surely. No, that's enough. That's enough.
They've got to answer soon. They won't be long.
They won't answer.
Yeah, well, they should.
Yeah, I'm not sitting back for more time.
Thank God! Okay, she's given up. Okay, don't go. Stop. You're done, right?
I'm fed up.
Okay, all right, how long has
65 minutes.
65 minutes, okay, all right. So we didn't get answered by Centrelink, but you're on hold for 65 minutes, which is long enough. That's fair enough. How would you describe your Centrelink hold experience this time?
Frustrating.
Okay, would you say that this experiment made you enjoy the Centrelink hold experience more, or would you say it just made you hate your favourite song more?
I hate my favourite song now.
A case closed. That proves there's not Centrelink hold music that sucks. It's Centrelink that sucks. The hold music is just the scapegoat for those... Oh, shit. Sorry, I owe you an apology.
What the FAQ?